Howdy, folks, and welcome to part 5 of So You Want to Run a Convention Game. Today we're going to be discussing terrain and the importance of it to the game. Now, a good looking table is, at a convention is probably the most key component of the game itself, because you want people to look at the table and say, "Oh wow, I want to play on that table." Uh, some great examples are Chris Clucky's 54 millimeter French and Indian War, uh, Jay Wiley's COVID Prime, uh, Star Wars table. My tables aren't as good, but uh, I like to think my Battle for Endor table is pretty good. When you're running a convention game, you want to make sure that your table stands out. The easiest way to do that is, of course, to have good looking terrain. The terrain doesn't have to be so detailed that you've got little wisps of scrap paper or leaves blowing in through the alleyways, but you want it to look, lived in. You want to make it look real. Uh, so, looking at some of the tables that I've played on at conventions, there are some that have had really great looks. There were some that have not had so many great looks. I've had both, as you can see the uh, in the photos that I'm sharing here. But the thing you want to remember is you've got to give yourself enough time to get your terrain built for what you're wanting to do. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be spectacular. Uh, but you do want it to stand out. You do want to make a good impression with it. So, you know, think about the scenario. Think about where the scenario is happening. Is it in the city? Is it in the country? If it's in the city, then don't just have buildings. Uh, have buildings, have cars, have if you can get scaled bicycles or little motor scooters, stuff that you would see around a city or a town. Vending machines. If it's in the distant future or in like a cyberpunk, have little computer terminals on throughout. Have street lamps and traffic lights. Stuff like that really adds to your to the the realness of the table. If it's going to be in the woods, one of the things that a lot of people really mess up on is just wanting to put as many trees out there as possible. The problem with that is when you do have all the trees you can find out there, it's hard to move the miniatures through the terrain. So what a lot of people will do, me included, is they'll use some sort of boundary to show, okay, this is the extent of the woods, and just have a couple of trees that can be moved around in that boundary area to denote this is where the trees are. You'll see on Chris Clucky's table that he just has a line of trees and Bear Cork as the area for the wooded area, with a couple of large trees in back inside. I do kind of the same thing with my indoor game. So then you can also go kind of bare bones with it. As you can see with my modern 15 millimeter, I've taken some boxes, flipped them over, made the tops look like roofs, sprayed it all with the kind of Flexstone spray paint, made it look kind of like Adobe, colored in walls and window or doors and windows, and called it good. Using some felt pieces and corduroy pieces for your different fields and that type of stuff. So, there's a lot of ways you can do it. It's not great by any means, but at 15 millimeter, I think it gets the job done, and it looks nice. That on top of the miniatures being decent, really goes towards making the table look good. And that's the key component there is making the table look good. Now, if you're doing an air combat game or a space game or a naval game, you can still get some stuff in there. You can take lava rock, like for a barbecue pit, and mount those on flight stands to make them into asteroids that your ships will be flying around. You can, build islands using blue foam or pink foam, and get that flocked out. Or you can 3D print islands and flock that. Make clouds for your airplanes to fly around and through, using cotton balls and flight stands. There are ways that you can still get terrain into space, air, and naval. It's not hard to do. It just takes a little bit of imagination. So the key point of the terrain is to make your table stand out, make it look really good, make it be to the passerby, hey, well, what is this? I want to play that game. And that's your draw. That's what gets them interested into playing the game. And because you've got good looking miniatures, that further gets them interested. And then once you show them how to play the game with the rules, you're set. With that combination, hopefully you've got them excited about being playing the game that you're presenting. So the next step is putting it all together for a test run, and that's what we'll talk about on our next part. Until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.